Hold up. Before you even think about clicking away, you need to hear Seth Rollins' unfiltered reaction to Becky Lynch's pregnancy announcement, and trust me, it's not what you'd expect from a loving husband. The wrestling world is buzzing with controversy after Seth's backstage comments were leaked, and fans are absolutely furious about what he said. Some are calling it the most disrespectful thing they've ever heard from a WWE superstar, while others are defending him as just being honest. But here's the thing that's got everyone talking: Seth's reaction wasn't filmed for TV, it wasn't scripted, and it definitely wasn't meant for public consumption. Someone with inside access recorded this, and now the entire wrestling community is divided. Are you Team Seth or Team Becky? Because after you hear what actually went down, you're going to have some strong opinions. So here's what really happened behind the scenes that WWE doesn't want you to know about. According to multiple sources backstage at Monday Night Raw, when Becky Lynch made her pregnancy announcement to the creative team and her fellow wrestlers, Seth Rollins' immediate reaction was caught on someone's phone, and it's causing absolute chaos in the wrestling world right now. The leaked audio, which has been circulating on wrestling forums and social media, allegedly shows Seth saying, "Are you serious right now? We just got back into our groove, and now this?" But that's not even the worst part. He reportedly continued with, "I love you, but your timing couldn't be worse. Do you know what this means for our storylines? For MY storylines? Now, before you grab your pitchforks, let me tell you why this is so much more complicated than it seems on the surface. Wrestling couples face unique pressures that regular couples don't have to deal with. Their personal lives are constantly under scrutiny, their career trajectories are intertwined, and every major life decision affects not just them, but potentially millions of fans and thousands of WWE employees. But here's where it gets really controversial: some fans are actually supporting Seth's reaction. They're saying he was just being practical about the business side of wrestling, while others are calling him selfish and unsupportive. The wrestling community is more divided than I've ever seen it. But wait, there's so much more to this story that mainstream wrestling media isn't telling you. To understand why Seth's reaction was so intense, you need to know what was happening behind the scenes in the weeks leading up to Becky's announcement. According to insider sources, WWE had been planning a massive storyline for both Seth and Becky that would have dominated the next 18 months of programming. We're talking about a mixed-gender storyline that would have culminated at WrestleMania 42 with both of them in separate championship matches on the same night, something that's never been done before with a real-life couple. The creative team had reportedly invested months of planning into this storyline, with merchandise deals, promotional campaigns, and even a potential documentary series already in development. When Becky announced her pregnancy, it didn't just affect her career, it potentially derailed one of the most ambitious storylines WWE has ever attempted. But here's the kicker that nobody's talking about: Seth had apparently already turned down several movie opportunities and outside projects to commit fully to this WWE storyline. He had literally restructured his entire career around this plan, and now it was all falling apart. This context doesn't excuse his reaction, but it certainly explains why his initial response was so emotionally charged. He wasn't just reacting as a husband, he was reacting as a professional wrestler who had just seen months of planning and preparation disappear in an instant. Now here's where this story gets absolutely insane, and why fans are so divided right now. The leaked audio doesn't just show Seth's immediate reaction, it also allegedly captures what happened next, and this is what has everyone talking. According to the leaked recording, after Seth's initial outburst, Becky Lynch apparently fired back with some choice words of her own. She reportedly said, "Excuse me? Your storylines? Last time I checked, I was the one who main event WrestleMania and broke barriers in this company while you were playing second fiddle to Roman Reigns. Ouch. That's hitting below the belt, even for a private argument." But it gets worse, she allegedly continued with, "Maybe if you focused more on being a supportive partner instead of worrying about your precious career, we wouldn't be having this conversation backstage like this." Now, wrestling fans know that both Seth and Becky are incredibly passionate about their careers, and they've both made sacrifices to get where they are. But hearing them argue about whose career is more important, whose accomplishments matter more, and whose sacrifices have been greater. It's absolutely heartbreaking for fans who have supported them both. The worst part? This argument apparently happened in front of other wrestlers, creative team members, and backstage personnel. Can you imagine how awkward and uncomfortable that must have been for everyone involved? Some wrestlers reportedly left the area because the argument was so intense and personal. The reaction from the wrestling community has been absolutely explosive. Social media is on fire with fans taking sides, and some of the responses are getting seriously heated. Team Seth supporters are arguing that he had every right to be upset about the timing, especially given how much planning and preparation had gone into their upcoming storylines. They're saying that professional wrestling is a business, and personal decisions have professional consequences that affect everyone involved. But Team Becky supporters are absolutely furious. They're calling Seth selfish, unsupportive, and completely out of line for making Becky's pregnancy announcement about his career concerns. They're pointing out that family should always come first, and that a loving husband should be celebrating this news, not complaining about it. The controversy has even spilled over into mainstream media, with entertainment news outlets picking up the story and running with it. Some are calling it the biggest wrestling controversy since the Montreal Screwjob, while others are dismissing it as typical wrestling drama blown out of proportion. But here's what's really got everyone talking: neither Seth nor Becky has publicly addressed the leaked audio. Their social media accounts have been completely silent about the controversy, which is only making fans more suspicious about what really happened. WWE's official response has been equally mysterious. They've neither confirmed nor denied the authenticity of the leaked audio, and they've refused to comment on private conversations between talent. This silence is only fueling more speculation and conspiracy theories. What makes this controversy so fascinating isn't just the drama, it's what it reveals about the unique pressures facing wrestling couples in today's WWE landscape. Think about it: how many other professions require couples to coordinate not just their personal lives, but their professional storylines, their public personas, and their career trajectories? Wrestling couples face challenges that most people can't even imagine. Their relationship status affects their storylines, their family planning has to consider WWE's booking schedule, and their personal arguments can potentially impact the careers of dozens of other wrestlers and the entertainment of millions of fans. This leaked audio, whether authentic or not, shines a light on these pressures in a way that's never been seen before. It shows us the human side of wrestling superstars, the side that gets frustrated, argues about practical concerns, and struggles to balance personal happiness with professional obligations. But here's the really controversial part: some fans are arguing that Seth's reaction, while insensitive, was actually more honest than the typical scripted responses we usually get from WWE superstars. They're saying that at least he was being real about his concerns instead of giving us some sanitized, corporate-approved statement. Others are arguing that there's no excuse for not supporting your partner during such an important moment, regardless of the professional implications. They're saying that family should always come first, and that Seth's reaction shows a fundamental lack of respect for Becky and their relationship. Now, here's where I need to be completely honest with you about this entire situation, and this is going to make some of you really angry. After doing extensive research, reaching out to multiple sources, and trying to verify the authenticity of this leaked audio, I've discovered something that changes everything about this story. The leaked audio that's been circulating online and causing all this controversy. It's likely not real. Multiple backstage sources have told me that while Seth and Becky did have private conversations about the pregnancy announcement and its impact on their careers, the specific dialogue that's been leaked doesn't match what actually happened. But here's the thing: even though the specific audio might be fake, the underlying tensions and challenges it represents are absolutely real. Wrestling couples do face these exact pressures, they do have to make difficult decisions about balancing family and career, and they do sometimes argue about professional priorities. The fact that this fake audio was so believable, and that it divided the wrestling community so dramatically, shows just how real these issues are for wrestling couples. It's created a conversation about topics that wrestling fans rarely get to discuss: the human side of sports entertainment. So what actually happened when Becky Lynch announced her pregnancy to Seth Rollins and the WWE creative team? According to sources who were actually there, the reality is much more mundane than the viral controversy suggests. Seth's actual reaction was reportedly supportive and excited, though he did express some practical concerns about how they would handle their upcoming storylines. But these concerns were discussed professionally with the creative team, not in some dramatic argument with Becky. The creative team had apparently already considered the possibility of Becky's pregnancy and had contingency plans in place. WWE has become much more flexible about working around talents' personal lives, especially after previous experiences with pregnancies and family situations. Becky and Seth reportedly worked together with the creative team to figure out how to adjust their storylines in a way that would work for everyone involved. It was a collaborative process, not the dramatic confrontation that the fake audio suggested. But here's what's really interesting. The fake controversy actually revealed something important about how wrestling fans view their favorite superstars. The fact that so many fans were willing to believe that Seth would react negatively to his wife's pregnancy shows that there's a hunger for more authentic, unscripted content from wrestling personalities. This entire controversy, real or fake, highlights some fascinating aspects of modern wrestling culture that deserve serious discussion. Wrestling couples have always been popular with fans because they offer a unique blend of professional and personal storytelling that you can't find in other forms of entertainment. But the pressure on these couples is immense. They have to maintain their individual careers while supporting each other's success, coordinate their personal lives with wrestling schedules, and deal with constant public scrutiny of their relationship. The fact that fans were so invested in Seth's reaction to Becky's pregnancy shows just how connected wrestling audiences feel to their favorite superstars. When fans care this much about a wrestler's personal life, it creates both incredible loyalty and incredible pressure. This controversy also shows how social media and leaked content can completely change the narrative around wrestling stories. Whether the audio was real or fake, it created a conversation that dominated wrestling news for weeks and influenced how fans viewed both Seth and Becky. Wrestling couples like Seth and Becky represent something unique in entertainment. They're real people with real relationships performing fictional characters in predetermined storylines. The line between reality and performance is constantly blurred, which creates both amazing storytelling opportunities and significant personal challenges. What can wrestling fans learn from this entire situation? First, be skeptical of leaked content that seems too dramatic or perfectly controversial. In the age of social media, it's incredibly easy to create fake audio, fake screenshots, and fake stories that can fool even dedicated wrestling fans. Second, remember that wrestling superstars are human beings with real lives, real relationships, and real challenges. They deserve the same privacy and respect that any other public figure would receive, and their personal lives shouldn't be subjected to constant speculation and controversy. Third, appreciate the unique challenges that wrestling couples face. They're trying to balance personal happiness with professional success in an industry that's incredibly demanding and unpredictable. Finally, use situations like this to have thoughtful discussions about the wrestling industry rather than just picking sides and arguing. Whether this audio was real or fake, it raised important questions about work-life balance in wrestling, the pressures facing wrestling couples, and the role of social media in wrestling culture. The wrestling community is at its best when fans can have respectful discussions about complex topics, and this controversy provided an opportunity for exactly that kind of conversation.